Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today Around Kansas takes a look at the pumpkin, its history, and the tales that surround it. Next up is a story about one of the largest Civil War engagements on Kansas soil, the Mine Creek Battle, where you can almost hear the battle cries, cannons, and the pounding of horses' hooves. Then enjoy a poem from Ron Wilson, and we'll end with Wild Bill Hickok reenactor Wade Tuxhorn. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road. Good early morning. I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And this is Around Kansas, the show where we talk about people, places, and things that make Kansas a great place to be, to visit, to live.
And we never run out, do we?
No, it's unbelievable, the history that's here. I'm sure every state has history, but Kansas is kind of unique because
it is.
You know, it was kind of the midpoint. Well, not the midpoint, because a lot of the trek west started in Missouri, came across the Missouri River, across the Kansas River, and then on west on the Oregon Trail and
Santa Fe Trail. We've got more
that.
Miles of the Santa Fe Trail than any other state. Yeah, we've got some incredible history. You know, I have said, you know, as a historian, I grew up in Virginia. So Virginia's history is like America's creation myth. Everything goes back to Virginia. Now, my friends in Pennsylvania or Massachusetts would beg to differ, but I can make a good, solid case for that. But there are 4 or 5 unique histories among the states, and Virginia is one of them. And then all the colonies are same thing. Then you have Texas, which was a whole nother country, you know, and you've got Louisiana, which is just Louisiana. You've got Utah, a theocracy, so that was a little bit different. Then you got Kansas. And Kansas seriously has a very unique history. Yeah. And mostly it's a history we can be really proud of. And for one thing, it's never dull. And my friends, just to prove that point, my friends, the Smoky Hill Trail Association, will be having their conference in Hayes this year. It's the weekend of 14th, 15th, and 16th with tours and speakers. Oh my gosh, it's a great time to join that organization and learn more about it. You can find them online, and we'll put their website. And this weekend, my own personal history, I want to wish Dr. Jake happy birthday on Saturday. Guess what I got him for his birthday?
I have no idea.
Actually, it was the Indian Wars tour we did last week. So that was part of his birthday present. So fortunately, he loves history too, so he's easy to buy for.
Oh, good. You can get him something old.
Get him something
Pick
old.
up a rock and say, you know where this rock is from?
Honey, you joke, but
oh, no.
we'll go along and I'll go pick up in the barnyard, and I'm like, look, another artifact, you know, and it'll be an old rusty nail or whatever. That's pretty sad, isn't it?
Oh, well.
Yeah. Yeah, we're easily amused.
Hey, we're into October, so that means Halloween's coming very, very soon. And I think you have a story about pumpkins coming up,
I
right?
love pumpkins. I just love pumpkins. I do. I think they're fascinating. I've always enjoyed them, and they're just magic. You know, pumpkins show up in all the fairy tales.
Yeah.
So
have you ever gotten a gift from the Great Pumpkin on Halloween?
No.
What can I say?
I sit here sadly waiting still, but...
What can I say?
Speaking of Halloween, are you going to wear a costume?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely always do.
Oh, how about the show? Last show this month? We're going to do costumes?
Yeah, we will.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
That'll be a Kodak moment. What are you going to dress up like?
I have no idea.
Could be a witch, but that's sort of typecasting it. That doesn't take much of a stretch. Jade got me some purple lipstick. Because K-State, you know, veterinarian K-State, so he bought me some purple lipstick. I may wear that day.
Yeah.
Would that be...
Okay. Oh, I may come as a bear cat, because my granddaughter now is a bear cat. at Northwest Missouri State, so I may come as a Bearcat.
So-
They have a mascot there, and it looks more like a squirrel, but nevertheless,
They call it a Bearcat.
they call it the Bearcat.
So we'll have a Bearcat and Willie Wildcat. That's what we'll do.
There we go.
Hey, we got a great show. Stay with us.
Lecompton. The name was splashed across newspapers throughout America and Europe. It was debated in the halls of Congress. Lecompton interprets its unique territorial history with 2 museums and other sites. Events throughout the year celebrate history and community.
Experience the life of the mountain man, American Indian, trappers, and traders at the annual Bald Eagle Rendezvous, September 22nd, 23rd, and 24th.
Spend the day in historic Lecompton, shopping, eating, savoring the rich history.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life. Okay, we're back. Our director says we were over time on that, so this is going to be very quick. I'm done.
I like pumpkins. Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Hey, I make awesome pumpkin soup. Do you like pumpkin soup?
No, I've never had pumpkin soup.
Oh, then I will. All right, then next time, in addition to the costumes that we're going to be coming up with, I will make you some pumpkin soup.
Okay.
Now, it's rich. It's full of butter and cream and, all the things that make the South great, but it is some kind of good.
Okay.
A little dash of nutmeg.
Sounds good.
It is to die for. It is so good. It is so good. We got this pumpkin segment coming up, which reminds me, share your pumpkin recipes with us.
Pumpkin spice.
Not that I might share them with anybody. I just want to use them. That's
Everything's pumpkin spice.
It is, and I love it. I love it. I got some spray the other day, house spray, because we can't have candles around the cats, but, the pumpkin spice.
I thought it was a joke, but they have laundry detergent that's pumpkin spice.
I mean, everything.
Really?
I got the air freshener. Yeah, it is.
I'm done.
We're nuts about pumpkins. No fruit or vegetable captures the imagination like the pumpkin. Cinderella used it as a coach. Peter Pumpkin Eater kept his wife inside its shell. Charlie Brown fell asleep awaiting the arrival of the Great One. It scares us, it entertains us, it feeds us. My favorite scene from all the Harry Potter movies is Hagrid's pumpkin patch. Aren't those pumpkins wonderful? Don't they conjure images of coaches and dwelling places for little beings? There is a wonderful mystery to a pumpkin. Now comes the season for pumpkin pie, pumpkin soup, pumpkin bread, pumpkin ale, pumpkin truffle. Oh my! My friend Bryce Benedict used to grow hops to make his own pumpkin ale, which he generously shared a couple of years ago. It made the best cheddar ale soup I have ever tasted. The pumpkin flavor was just the extra touch to make it interesting. The website, All About Pumpkins, lists dozens of varieties and gives us a little history. Pumpkins and squash are believed to have originated in the ancient Americas. These early pumpkins were not the traditional round, orange, upright jack-o'-lantern fruit we think of today when you hear the word pumpkin. They were a crooked-necked variety which stored well. Archaeologists have determined that variations of squash and pumpkins were cultivated along river and creek banks along with sunflowers and beans. This took place long before the emergence of maize, corn. After maize was introduced, ancient farmers learned to grow squash with maize and beans using the Three Sisters tradition. According to Pumpkin Patches and More, the tradition of carving a jack-o'-lantern from the pumpkin began in Scotland and Ireland. Well, of course, except they used turnips, since pumpkins were native to the New World. Can you imagine homes decked out in turnips or being scared to your stocking feet by a candle inside a turnip? Well, my friend Ian Hall, token Scotsman, verifies the tale and adds that the turnips were pretty hard to carve. And now, dear viewers, I'm off to the pumpkin patch.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
When your living depends on agriculture, you can depend on KFRM 550 AM. If you're in the southwest three-fourths of Kansas or the northern half of Oklahoma, catch us at 5:50 a.m. on the radio dial. But if that isn't you, listen on your cell phone at TuneIn Radio or on your computer at KFRM.com. We promise to keep you informed, entertained, and company as you go through your day. KFRM 550 AM, the voice of the Plains. We would like to join your management team.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Buffalo Bill Cody earned his legendary title in Oakley. Bring the family and come celebrate Oakley's pioneering history and unique geography at two sites, the Buffalo Bill Cultural Center and the Fick Fossil Museum. Visit the Kansas State Cornhusking Contest and Festival on October 7th and 8th at the Buffalo Bill Cultural Center. Highways 83 and 40 and I-70 crisscross this hub of the Western Vistas Historic Byway. Day for the day, discover Oakley. This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. Here we are again.
Now, we've been talking about some awesome history, as always, in the state of Kansas, and October marks the anniversary of the Battle of the Blue and then eventually the Battle of Mine Creek, which is one of the largest cavalry engagements of the Civil War. I think it's the second largest, and happened right here on Kansas soil, down near Pleasanton, just north of Fort Scott. So if you've never been down to that site, you know, keeping the sites open is a challenge for the Kansas State Historical Society. And, you know, so call ahead or go on the website to make sure they're open. But this site, even if they are not open, the museum there, you've got an incredible walking path. And so fall of the year, this is an awesome time to get out and walk really well-marked path. And you can, fortunately, the battleground is pretty much as is. You know, it's still there. It's been preserved, thankfully. And this is a great one. You can take the kids, you can go at your own pace, you can get out and walk and enjoy the fall air and learn a little history at the same time.
Yeah. You know, the Civil War battlegrounds were not all that big, even though there were thousands many times that were involved. The battleground, when you go look at it and go, really?
Really? How many horses?
From
how many
here
people?
to there?
Yeah.
And this was a cavalry battle. And it was recounted by civilians that were there and, of course, some of the soldiers. It's a great story, and I hope you'll enjoy it. This year marks 152 years since the largest Civil War battle on Kansas soil and one of the largest cavalry engagements of the Civil War. We turn to the Kansas State Historical Society for a personal story of that day. On the morning of October 25, 1864, the settlers who lived along Mine Creek in eastern Kansas awoke to the rumblings of war. Barbara Jane Dolson, young wife of a Union soldier serving the state militia at Meridicine, was at home with her mother on the Palmer family farm. As the women prepared breakfast and minded the children, they soon came to realize they were not alone. The Confederates came first. Rebel officers compelled Barbara Jane and her mother to feed their men with the meager fare from the women's own table. All along the path of the 15-mile-long Confederate wagon train, in fact, women and children surrendered their food and clothing to enemy soldiers, who then teased them for crying. Soon, though, the scene changed. Confederate men passed the Palmer homestead more and more swiftly, and the line became a disordered mob. For not far behind the rebels rode the Union cavalry, intent upon halting the destructive march of their foes. Before long, the pastures of the Palmer land, as well as the land of their neighbors from the town of Trading Post south along the old Fort Scott Road, teemed with men and horses. The women of Mine Creek greeted these men in Union blue with more hospitality than they did the ragged, gray Confederates. In his later writings, Mine Creek Union Army veteran Captain Richard Hinton reminisced. In front of a log cabin stood an old lady with several children clinging to her skirts, fearless of the leaden shower which ceaselessly pattered against the cabin wall. With dress disordered and gray locks floating in the wind, the old lady shouted while we whirled past, "God bless you boys! God bless you boys! Hooray for the Union! Hooray for Kansas! Give it to 'em!" The sight was inspiring. The blessing came like a draught of wine. Inspiring it must have been, for in the ensuing battle, though 300 Confederate soldiers lost life or limb that day, and 900 lost their freedom, only 8 Union soldiers died, with 100 wounded in the field. Indeed, as the battle raged on around her, Barbara Jane described standing in the doorway of her father's home watching the melee. Soon the rattle of musketry was so great I could hear nothing else. I could see the cannons a mile away belch out their flames and smoke, but could not hear them for the noise of the small arms all around me. How horrifying to feel the ground quake beneath the horses' hooves, to hear the thunderous war raging all around, to see the spurting blood, and to wait. Such is so often the lot of women during war. Fortunately for Barbara Jane, her wait was relatively short. The battle had lasted a mere 30 minutes. But in that time, a Confederate wagon train had foundered in Mine Creek, and the Confederacy had lost the war in the West.
I was in an accident where I fell off a roof. I don't know why I started to research stem cells, but I did. And I visited with the doctors. They were excellent. I had my neck done, my shoulders done, section of my back, my hips, my sacrum, my sciatica, and my tailbone. Now I am having better range of motion in my arms and my neck and my back. It was a long road to get there, but I'm so glad that I found them.
Fort Wallace stood on the frontier in the midst of the Plains Indians Wars on a major stage route and rail line. Beside the 1865 stagecoach station, a modern museum with thousands of artifacts tell that story, like the fossil of a 40-foot plesiosaur is suspended from the ceiling. Located on Highway 40 midway between Hayes and Colorado Springs, the Fort Wallace Museum is as welcome a sight today as the fort itself in the 1860s. Discover the fightingest fort in the West. This segment brought to you by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Find out more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
I'm proud to say that my daughter is a veterinary student at Kansas State University, and as a result, I've been able to learn some things too. This is a term she shared with me. The poem is entitled Zoonotic. Us boys were working cattle one day in early spring. Our veterinarian watched carefully, checking everything. Our vet is a terrific guy for all these operations. He was preg checking cows and giving vaccinations. We moved in a bunch of cows at the boss's direction when the boss spoke up and said, "Hey doc, I've got a question. What is zoonotic?" he said. I saw that word while reading about possible diseases in a herd. Well, doc replied, it's something we're not often seeing. It's a disease that transfers from livestock to a human being. We watch this very carefully with diagnosis or a blood sample in case a germ jumps from monkey to a human, for example. Doc continued to explain as we got the cattle headed till we had just one cow left, but it was the cow I dreaded. This old cow was ornery, had a mean streak a mile wide. She was tossing and a-kicking, all snorty and wild-eyed. Young Billy tried to head her in, but as he got in close, she turned her head and kicked him right into a fence post. The other cowboys pushed her in and got her in the chute, while Billy cussed that angry cow and kind of nursed his wound. Old Doc gave him some vet wrap for where he broke the skin. That tickled our old boss, and he got a little grin. He said, "Doc, you're an expert on disease and antibiotics. Would young Billy's ailment be considered zoonotic?" Doc said, "Well, in one sense, as anybody sees, young Billy might be called a victim of mad cow disease." Happy trail.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter. Here we are again. This is Around Kansas, in case you just tuned in and wonder who we are. I'm Frank and she's Deb.
So where were you while we were sitting here waiting for you? Yeah, what have you been doing?
Yeah,
it's about time you were up and out and making biscuits and yeah, slopping the hogs and milking the cows and all that stuff. So
yeah.
Shoot, what am I saying? These folks have probably already done all that and just came in and turned on the TV. That's where they've been.
Who are these people?
So we've got another segment that Michael Gehring did while he was out in Abilene. He made the most of it, and he interviewed the marshal in Abilene. We're just on a Hickok run here, aren't we?
Well, your infatuation with Wild Bill. So.
Well, I'm really infatuated with Buffalo Bill, but
the thing is I grew up in Newton, Kansas, and the biggest gunfight, even bigger than that one, even bigger than the OK Corral, took place in Newton, Kansas in 1871, and I'm going to do a story on that. Not today, but sometime.
Newton was a wild town.
Newton was a wild town, yes.
Dan Turner grew up in Newton, and I think his grandfather played poker with Wyatt Earp one time in Newton.
Now, I wasn't there for the gunfight, even though people accused me of being there, but I was not. It's in 1871. I was born a couple of years later.
Let's go to Abilene with Michael.
Well, today is our kickoff for the Chisholm Trail 150th anniversary. And they decided to start a whole year early, and so we'll have things planned for the whole year, of course. But today, this weekend's been really good. We've had good crowds. The Longhorns have cooperated. Haven't had any mishaps or anything. I think everything's run pretty smoothly for a first-year event. We do gunfights every Saturday and Sunday on through to October. And sometimes we get a little extra money working for other cities. We'll go do other events somewhere else, but not very often. But just sometimes during the year. We just put on the gunfights, actually, and as far as I know, we've been pretty much continuously here since 1959, when this started, when they opened this up. I haven't heard of anybody that's ever told me any stories at any times that it hasn't had gunfighters here. I've been here a long time, and there's been some people here. Well, there's been one person here that's still here that was here before me, and that's the only person that's been here longer than me, is old Red, Shotgun Red. I just enjoy doing it. The people we have now this year, I like all the people we have, and we get along well, and we just go out there and we just do gunfights and we have a good time. And the people show on the sidelines, they see it, we have a good time, and we're not scripted, and like I said, when it's not fun no more, then I'll be gone. Like I said, about 15 years ago, they had a Wild Bill contest, and I was one of the bad guys at that time, doing the robberies and shooting at the sheriff and everything. And somebody said, "You know what? You ought to enter that contest." And I said, "Enter that contest?" I said, "Yeah, you look just like Wild Bill." I said, "No, I don't," because I had a little goatee then, and I had my handlebar mustache and long hair. I'd wear a great big Texas-style cowboy hat and everything. So I trimmed my beard off finally and got different clothes, different guns, and I become Wild Bill. So we've got a few guys that are in character, but they don't actually play the character. They just have their names. Old Abilene is still the only Old West town in Kansas that doesn't charge an admission. Now we ask for donations to help us offset our costs of our guns and powder and stuff. And the Can girls, they ask for a donation. That helps buy new dresses and stuff. But other than that, it's all free, except for the train depot and the train rides.
Okay, time to go. I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And we'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
Welcome to Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream.